ここは
どんな客人も歓迎いたしますよ。私はヘドン。この塔の管理人。
Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. As we said earlier this week, this is our new segment on the show where we're talking about Tower of God. The anime just dropped when we're recording this, and we're going to be talking about that as well as the latest free chapter on Webtoons. So it's going to be episode 1 of season 1 of the anime, and it's going to be chapter 55 of season 3 of the web series we're going to be talking about today. So first we're going to talk about the anime, and then we're going to hop in to the webcomic at the end, because yes, that is spoiler stuff to what's to come if you're only here for the anime. So let's go get ahead and get right into it. Adam, since you brought us into this Tower of God stuff, you can go ahead and go first. What are your thoughts, man?
All right, so I watched the episode 4 times today. I watched it right when it dropped, and then I came back to it later on today, and there were some differences that I think are pretty important to note. Just first off, in a generalized point of view, I think it was really well done. I think they stayed really true to the base content at the very least. And the animation was really, really well done. The music score is phenomenal. The opening is very interesting. What I started thinking more about it was that it it actually gives you no spoilers like most anime openings do. You know, like it's like, oh, hey, who is this character? Who's that character? But we kind of just get bammed the whole time, which I was really all for. And he's kind of going through these things. There was one scene I felt could be a potential spoiler, but I'm not going to bring that up. But I think overall, it was really well done. There's a good amount of things I actually don't agree with. But I think I told you guys earlier, it was actually trending on Twitter today, which I think is phenomenal. I mean, this is a manhwa that's been around for a good couple years, and it's been climbing the ranks of one of the best fantasy manhwas going on right now. And for it to be trending on Twitter and getting all this support on day one, for a lot of newcomers and for a lot of actual fans as well, I think it's really good. It shows a lot of really strong promise for the rest of the season. I think we'll get a very strong fan base, and I'm just hoping for a season 2, because season 2 really is, well, 1, it's fucking long, and 2, it's just great. I mean, it takes the first season and really expands, but I don't know what I think we all kind of, well, I know me and Danny, we agree on the things we did not like in the first episode. Gerry, let me ask you, how did you feel about the whole thing?
It was alright. Honestly, we've all read the first few chapters. It's not really much to expect out of, like, I don't know what we really want later in the series, but that's later in the series. Whereas with anime right now, it's pretty good animation style. Seems pretty smooth so far for a premiere episode. Something that we've been actually looking forward to. So I'm trying to look past the bias of fuck yeah, it's already animated, like something that we've read. So I'm trying to look at it with clear eyes. I'll give it maybe a 6, 7 out of 10 so far. I mean, it's definitely got me in there, as in character personalities and all that. It makes you want to see what goes on between him and Rachel, but we all know what the fuck happens.
Right.
So
no spoilers.
Pretty good,
but I will say though, and I think we can all agree on this, the ending of the first episode, that last 4 or 5 minutes where Bam goes into the next floor.
Oh, yeah, where it shows most of the regulars and then shows the squad. Rack looks so good, man.
I don't know about you guys, but when I reread the chapters last night and then seeing it animated where the guy gets shot with the 3 arrows, right?
Oh my god, dude. Oh, that dude got blasted, bro.
And then and then the other dude with the bow is licking his lips let me get some of that, and then boom, he gets fucking shot in the head. I was all, dude, fuck yeah, man. They did a really solid job on that part. That was great.
That was so good, bro. That was so good. That came out of nowhere.
Dude, it was good. It was comedy. That's when I was like, okay, you know what? As serious as this gets, we all know how funny it can be at certain points. And I was glad that
That's the thing. I don't even think that was meant to be funny.
Dude,
It's
no, man.
We all had the same reaction. I bet we're just like, oh.
But I did do some digging around right after the episode finished, and I reread those first few chapters. Like I told Danny, it looks like an episode is probably going to cover 6 chapters, and I think Danny had said that there's 13 slated. So I think Danny did the math. It's like what the 6 chapters an episode that comes out to be at 78 or something.
Yeah,
for the first season.
yeah, it's slated for 13 episodes, and season 1 of the manhwa does end at 70. Like 78. Yeah, if you divide that by 13, it does come out exactly at 6. So they could do 6 chapters an episode, which I kind of hope they don't, because my problem with this episode is I did reread it like you did. And I stopped at chapter 4, and I was like, okay, this feels like one solid episode right here, from episode 0 all the way to episode 4.
Mhm.
Could totally fit. And then just watching it just felt fast paced, and they cut out so much that was important to set up like how the characters are supposed to be. And that's what really has me worried, is that they're really going to be trimming a lot just to get through all of season 1 of the manhwa to make it season 1 of the anime.
Yeah, you guys remind me, since you guys did read like the beginning.
It's a lot of dialogue, and the one scene that is different, which I feel is extremely important, which if they change the subtitle for it, like the line completely, they can rebuttal from it. But if you remember, in the anime, when Hidan destroys the eel, he looks over and he says something like, "Oh, I'm interested to see what happens next." But in the manhwa, he's actually looking over, and it's Rachel there, which, you don't see Rachel there, but then he says something along the lines of, "Oh, well, he passed. What are you going to do now?" Because as we come to find out, later on, she never got past that point. So I feel that along with explaining a little bit more of the pocket, Evan, and his ability as a guide, like how did he know that was the only option? How did he know to tell Yuri to tell Bam, or Evan to tell Bam, like, hey, speak to the Black March and she will help you.
I hope.
Well, hold on. No, there was one thing I noticed after rereading the chapters, after watching the episode the first time, that I felt was the most important piece of dialogue that Bam had to say about Rachel, which is, "Oh, she taught me how to speak. She taught me how to do all these things. She does lie to me sometimes, but I don't really care. I just want to be next to her." I feel like that little piece of dialogue, it means so much more later on. And this is what I mentioned to you earlier, Danny. Maybe they could do like a quick flashback, like a quick 2-minute scene where Bam is thinking back to the days with Rachel, before they got to the tower, and he mentions that. That could be the rebuttal, but that needs to be said. It needs to be stated. That whole piece where Yuri comes in, especially when she goes in the manhwa, she actually goes down into, you see her and Evan go down and like confront Bam, like, "Oh, he's an irregular. What's going on?" And then they kind of explain how an irregular changes everything in the tower. They're not just some extremely powerful person.
If I had to say, out of how much content they cut out from the chapters they used for the first episode, it was at minimum half of what the chapters did. They just did not put in the show, which is also worrying, because thinking back to Tower of God after watching the episode, I was like, well, I like season 2 a lot because of the action, right? It's incredible there. But what's the best part of season 1 of Tower of God? That's the writing. It's the slow buildup into what we're going to get into for the rest of the series. And if they want to do this fast-paced stuff, that has me worrying. Like, yeah, I figured the end of this episode was going to be, we're going to see Bam wake up, on floor 2, and they're about to start the first test. But there was 6 minutes of that, and that's what had me worried. And I was like, what is going on? How are we just going to keep having it set up like this? It's really worrying on how the rest of the development for the characters are going to be, because like I said in the chat earlier to you, Adam, Yuri does not feel like how Yuri felt when I reread the first chapters.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. She does not have that demeanor. If anything, it'd be more Andraste that would be like that, but definitely not Yuri. You know, and I,
Yep.
as much as I love how she looks, you know, because she's got very big season 2 vibes, I'm still very disappointed that they didn't give her that dialogue that she really needed to have, because she sets the tone for, you know, like, oh, this, like I just said, you know, irregulars are supposed to be these people that change everything, and there was very little, you know, spoken about
Hmm.
that. And the other thing too is that, you know, he didn't even describe what you're supposed to do in the tower to climb like he does in the manhwa. Like, if you want to keep climbing, you have to get to the next floor. You have to pass a test. So, you know, when that was thrown in there, when Bam disappeared and went to the floor of tests, you know, to the next level, and they're like, oh, wait, what's going on? No, they already know what's going on. They know how to climb the tower. They're rankers, you know, and even the concept of ranker was not fully, you know, touched on, which that's what really scares me, because that's a huge concept in the entire story of
Well,
Tower of God is the rankers.
in those chapters though, they didn't mention what a ranker really is, and they were still confused on where he went after he broke the ball in those chapters too.
But besides that dialogue being cut out, I did still really like it.
Yeah, I mean, the animation's great. You know, the voice acting I thought was perfect for all the characters. They fit really well. I like the outro song more than the intro. I do think the intro is very bland though, visual wise.
I'm very happy for it being that way. I feel like even if they introduce a lot of characters like, excuse me, most anime openings do, I think they could have gotten away with it only because there's so many characters in this series. You can easily throw a couple in there and people will see them and be like, okay, cool. Like, now we see them in the episode. When do they come back? They probably never come back, or they come back very later on, you know? So I think the opening is going to take a little while to grow on, but there's a scene which we can talk about in the spoiler section or just on another episode, um, in the opening, that I saw that and I was like, you know, I think that's cutting to that specific part, and I'm really hoping that it is, because if so,
Mm.
it's gonna look so fucking beautiful when it comes out. But I'm gonna be so pissed off when it happens. Y'all already know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think that scene could be a very it's a great way to end the season for
But
sure.
I mean, we'll see. Like I said, overall, I've seen it 4 times. I've grown to kind of just take it for what it is now. I mean, I mentioned it in the chat earlier. I was like, okay, I can be upset about what they took out in the dialogue, but they have a whole nother episode for setup. You know, because in episode 3, that's really going to be where, and I have to reread the chapters again because I want to try and keep up with it, you know, 6 chapters before the episode drops. That way I'm fresh and I know exactly what to expect, because that was a really long time ago. But I feel like episode 3 is really going to be the bread and butter, when we start getting some more action packed, because I feel like this next episode is going to be all set up again. And this is going to be another important part where the writing is going to have to come into play. You know, they really have to get the writing down on this next episode, because it's literally how the whole show is supposed to work. Like, you climb the tower, you pass different tests on every single floor. You know, they explain the administrator, I think, and then they start talking about the weapons classes.
Yeah, that's once everybody passes this first test. Yeah, that's how it should be. I mean, if they want to if they want to get rid of some dialogue just to have like really important dialogue, I think I'll be fine with it. Like I was really worried on what the feedback was going to be for the season, but I'm glad to see that it's very positive over on Twitter. I saw a lot of positive
I,
talk.
I was I was going through a lot of pages on Twitter when I woke up. All I saw, like, even from fans that really love the series, they are all like, dude, we're just happy it got animated. Like, sure, you know, no big deal on certain things as long as they rebuttal from it, but overall they were happy. And I was also really glad to see nobody spoil anything. You know, a lot of people were saying, well, not a lot, but a few people were saying, oh, don't get too attached to Rachel. She's not, you know, she may let you down, that whole type deal. But they weren't giving out any real type of spoilers. And I was looking to, like, man, this is really cool. Like, this, I mean, I've always thought of the Tower of God community being really, really small, but now that the episode has, you know, been dropped and the season is, you know, just kicked off, I now see how great of a community this really is. Like, as far as I can tell, there's no toxic people in here. Like everyone just wants anyone else to just fully enjoy the story for what it is.
I'm glad that's they're positive with that. But yeah, like Gerry said too, like I'm glad it's finally animated. It's just my big worry is, I mean, you know, animation wise, we're not going to get it, but I don't want him to pull a 2016 Berserk.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Although I think you guys might agree with this. The one other piece that I really liked a lot is when he got to the second floor, it then had that screen cap of test 2 or like floor number 2 or whatever the fuck it said.
So
Yeah.
the regulars.
When I saw that, I was like,
yeah.
okay, you know what? I was like, that's really cool. I'm with it. You know, that way it keeps the it lets the audience know, hey, we're keeping track. He's now moved on to the next area.
Yeah, I like it. I like it like that too, because it does fit well into what the manhwa does. You know, because when you start every chapter, it'll tell you what floor you're on. I'm just hopeful that episode 2 is going to be a lot better than what I saw here. Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts for the episode premiere, for the series premiere of the anime.
And is it going to keep dropping on, Wednesdays?
Yeah, Wednesday mornings, because I think it's dropping when it premieres in Japan, and it premieres like at 11:30 at night, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's why we're getting it so early in the morning over here on the West Coast.
Dude, I will keep waking up early for it.
All right, so with that, yeah, well, that's it for the anime. So now let's get into the manhwa. Now, again, if this is all spoilers, I mean, we're not going to get too much into what season 1 did, but still, you know, if you're not reading it, just, you know, go ahead and wait till next week when we talk about the next episode for the anime. Chapter 55 of season 3. And this is like a few chapters into this newest arc where Bam and the crew are trying to find his master over at the nest on the 50th floor. High security with Jihad's forces. And some cool stuff in here, man. I like this new arc a lot better than what we saw previously. It feels more coherent and not all over the place. And some good build up on what what these characters are going to do here. And nice highlight with Doom and all the other dog brothers.
Yes. I will say, I fully agree with you. I feel like the cage arc, there was just way too many moving parts in there.
Mhm.
I feel like it could have been done a lot cleaner. But I do understand why they did it. But going into this newest chapter this week that dropped on Monday, or on Sunday, I mean, really cool to see Doom. Really cool to see Paul actually use his powers, his full transformation. I was really stoked on that because I thought he was just, a pushover. But, I mean, clearly he looks like he could be potentially stronger than Doom at this point because Doom is still recovering. I am really eager to see White kick ass though, because the way that the chapter starts with him and Kun just talking about their plan, I'm looking at it like, dude, this guy is he was already known as a monster, and I feel that, and I feel only because it was a precursor in the last arc, we're gonna see Bam and White, maybe Karaka team up against what the fuck is his name, Caliban.
Oh, Caliban, yeah.
I feel like that's going to be the potential fight because dude, that guy's ridiculous. He's too strong.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, it's the 52nd floor, not the 50th floor that they're on right now.
Crazy stuff happening there. They moved the whole cage in the fucking wall.
They're about to.
Oh,
yeah. They're about to move the whole cage inside the wall.
I thought they were past the first part, and then the second part they gotta fucking get past.
Yeah, they passed the first part already.
Yeah.
So now they just need to. Yeah.
You know what I wanted to talk about real quick it was from the anime. I forgot to bring it up. They didn't say Shinsu at all when they were talking about the eel challenge, which they did in the manhwa.
I could have sworn they did.
I didn't catch it. They were just talking about it. But also it was interesting to see how they depicted the Shinsu in there. They made it look like water, which it kind of, when you get into the lore of what Shinsu really is later down the line, it does kind of sound like water vapor, like it's like an atmosphere. But I thought it was interesting that they made it look like that instead of just looking like he was swimming in the air, which is kind of what he does anyways, the eel.
Here, I've got it up right now. I'll let you know if I see it.
But yeah, man, Doom looking like still the edgiest character from DeviantArt wound up in here, man.
God, dude, I know, right?
Yeah, I do like how they have the transformations, right? Because they're dogs. But I like how different everyone is so far.
Freaking Doom.
Yeah, like Doom can separate, like he could transform his attacks while they're happening, right? Like he shot that eel thing out at the crow, and he can make that thing transform separately. And I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting.
Mhm. And it looks like Paul has some familiars with his, but we'll see some more in the next chapter, I hope.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope he
And
gets some
then
shine because, like you said earlier, he was put in the back burners the last arc.
I like Yama's. I mean, he pretty much just goes Super Saiyan 3, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, or Super Saiyan 4, I should say. But his is pretty cool. I like it. I'm just really interested to see some more lore, or some more explanation on how they came from this family. Because in the previous chapter, the cat one, so I mean, it makes a lot of sense why I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name, but that one squadron captain, from the Lobia family, he could control all of the dogs. So, so I want some more information on that.
yeah. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get it because again, they are fighting one of the executive members of that family.
Although I will say, towards the end of the chapter where Bam sees all those dead bodies and he's kind of like, I don't really want to see this, but he kind of stops himself and he goes, no, 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 no. All these people made their choice. I'm making my choice. If they're all dying, then they're all dead.
Hmm.
And then just him having that me to me Kermit the Frog conversation right after that, I thought that was really cool. That really shows how much that he's,
He's grown.
yeah, and it was really hard to swallow seeing it because of how much of a caring character that Bam is. But now he's grown up. He's started to realize all the things that his master prepared him for are now really coming into play. Like it wasn't just that Fug took him in because they believed he could be like the biggest slayer, that there is that they've ever seen in history. But it was more that, no, I'm going to take you in because I want to make you a better person. I want to make you strong for yourself. You can choose your own path. If you decide to come this way, I fully support you. And him having that conversation to his younger self, that's really what I got from it.
Yeah. What I got was like, oh, he's talking to. He even says it right here on the panel where you see both of them in one shot. It says we have a reason to fight. Bam. To me that says, oh, he's talking to his former self. He's now identifying himself more as, oh yeah, I am the person that they need to win this war. I am, I'm the son of V kind of thing. Jovial Grace is kind of becoming more of his identity than Bam is. I found that interesting.
I definitely see that as well, especially because his hair is getting longer to that Juvial gray state.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like he needs to get permission from his old self to do the actions that he's doing now.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of goes that plays on him asking that beast inside of him for more permission to, like, hey, I want to use a little bit more power.
That too, yeah.
I need to get just a little bit more. So having him go from this monster, like him go to this monster, like, hey, I need this. Now going to his younger self or an idea of who he used to be, like, hey, you know what? It's about time. We got to do what we got to do.
But yeah, overall, yeah, great chapter. I think the small setups here were good in the beginning with, like you said, with Kuhn and White. I feel like he's going to be taking advantage of this war, right? Because of all those floating dead bodies. The first thing I thought of was like, oh, White's about to grab all these souls right now.
And he's, like I said, man, we know Karaka's a beast already, but White was considered a very frightening person, when he was at his potential. So I'm really excited to see this.
Yeah, I almost feel like we're going to see a rematch with him and Caliban first before Bam fights Caliban, if he even does. Just to show, like, oh yeah, like you were nothing to me. Like you would have been nothing to me back then, and now that I have the power again, like I'm not even worrying about you.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah, definitely gonna be looking forward to how they're gonna set up all this. I hope it still stays as coherent as it has right now. I think Bam's jacket looks pretty fresh that he's rocking this arc.
Dude, everybody's fits in this show, man. They just get better and better. Yeah, I think we're at a good pace right now with this new arc. I think this one is going to be a really long one. There's going to be a lot of fights. There's going to be a lot of lore that we're definitely going to get some answers for.
Yeah. And so we end the chapter with, I forget her name, the elf looking girl. Was it
the one with the rose petal powers, right?
Yeah.
I forget her name too. Yeah, what's interesting about that is she has no idea that her man has also woken up at the same time, and that he's on Bam's side and he's following him. So when that interaction happens, I'm going to be very shocked. I want to know what's going to happen right there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because in the previous arc, when they both woke up and they were remembering what was the last person they talked to, they both talked to Jihad, which I thought was pretty interesting to see. And it's young Jihad too, so it's really not that far off. But what's interesting with it is, I feel like Jihad set himself up a challenge for his future version of himself because he knows he'll probably get bored of the tower and he needs something to keep himself going. So maybe that's why he has both of these rankers that were fighting his army go take separate sides on the matter. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think we're going to get some of that next chapter because, it ends with her saying, like, if only I could just kill Bam, all of this would end. And, he's like, the other guy's like, I need to keep Bam alive. So he's going to have to fight her. And that's going to be pretty interesting to see how they're going to handle all that.
I'm just very excited for this arc. There's going to be a lot of good stuff. I just hope that we get just a little bit more information on V. When he was mentioned in the Hell Train arc, I wanted more, man. I need to know more about the history of Bam's parents.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get it. We've been getting a good amount of dumps of like the old lore, so it's only a matter of time. I think once Bam and them get past like the second wall, we're gonna get more of that.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt.
Yeah. So with that, I think it's safe to say it's gonna wrap up this episode.
Please watch the anime. It's been a long time coming. It's very well deserved.
Support the anime.
Read the manhwa.
Yes. Can't wait to see more of Rak in the anime though. I like his voice acting a lot too.
Oh heck yeah! I just want to see him turn small again.
Yeah, yeah. That happens right on the floor test. I think that's what happens.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, that's gonna be funny. That's another.
Oh, and you know what's funny? I just realized. That guy in the last arc, in the cage. There's that big ass dude that comes out, and Bam is like, "What are you doing here?" That's where he comes out in the floor test. So we don't see this dude for like 2 whole seasons, and then just comes back out. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see how that interaction happened before, only because he just came back out now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So definitely hype for both ends of this series, seeing where we're gonna go. And if you have any thoughts, questions, comments about Tower of God, remember you can email us at unversedpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on social media at unversedpodcast. Stay up to date on when these episodes drop. And this is going to be every Friday. This is going to drop. So that means the manga reviews are going to move to Wednesdays. And everything else should still be in the proper scheduling as they are. More Marvel talk to come. All that good stuff from us while this quarantine stuff is still happening. So, thanks for listening, guys, and we're going to catch you next week on a brand new episode.
Just a twinkle I sat, coordinate to the stars. Place your dollars and bets, that little kid going far. Spend some time in the corner, storing the heat for the squad. Born out of the sword, the forge, and the beat of the gods. Tell them I mean to a fault, meaning this evening I'm off. Probably this evening I'm off of the speakers, the cars. Probably reaching too far, balance a piece of the job. Put the pie in the 3.14 and I'm soft. Shit the peak and I'm tall, some the feet in the teeth, grit and I'm eating the fall. Feeding for gas and I huffed up on the Hillary Paul. Strong, but I'm mentally strong. Samson, I'm meant to be strong. I've been stretching my arms. Father, forgive me, I mean, mama, you gave me the bomb. Shit, you drop